It seems like anxiety was always lurking in the background of my life. It, even as a kid, I was holding on to a constant inner nervousness, trying to put on a brave face for the chaos I was carrying around. Back then, I didn't know what anxiety was. I didn't have a word for it. I just knew something wasn't right, and I didn't know how to explain it. I remember my first panic attack like it was yesterday. I was probably around 11 years old. I started sweating, felt weak, detached, like I wasn't fully in my body. I remember exactly where I was when I had that attack. It was the middle of the summer and I was walking home from the local beach. The feeling passed, like these things always do, but then it came back again and again and again. I had no idea what it was or how to tell someone what I was feeling so they could help me. So I did what I thought I was supposed to do. I toughed it out. I kept it inside. I let it tear me up while pretending everything was fine. I was a quiet kid with no direction at that point. I sat on all my problems. I never opened up to anyone. I watched people closely, maybe too closely, and spent more time observing life than participating in it. That constant observation kept me stuck in my own head, just running around in circles. People probably saw me as an independent person, but that independence wasn't a strength, it was fear. I stayed quiet because I was afraid of being ridiculed, mocked, or dismissed. So staying silent became my protection. And without realizing it, anxiety stopped being something I felt and started becoming who I really was. I really thought that was my life, was living in that just vicious circle of anxiety. Rejection was always top of mind with me. It gave me another reason to sit in silence and deal with something I didn't understand and couldn't name. I wasn't walking around smiling. I didn't have much to smile about back then. I was going through the motions of being a kid without knowing how to be a kid. I avoided connection because connection meant conversation, and conversation meant questions, and questions might lead to some sort of vulnerability that I would show. So I avoided people, I avoided asking for help, I avoided being seen. Avoidance became my preferred method of survival. I convinced myself I could handle everything on my own, that it was safer to keep everything locked in one place, my head, and out of the hands and ears of others. Looking back now, being alone in my own head at that age was just no place to be. Living like this, it isolated me. It kept me away from relationships, not just with others, but more importantly, with myself. I didn't give myself opportunities other kids had. Even when they were right in front of me, I didn't know how to deal with them. I thought the safest option was to trust no one but myself, and that's a terrible place to build a life from. It wasn't until much later, until I sobered up, that I realized this wasn't who I was. It was who I became, trying to survive something I didn't understand. But shaking anxiety without a drink is far easier said than done, because by then it had become familiar, predictable, and almost comfortable. Eventually, though, we all have to face who we are. And to move forward, you have to get to know yourself. Not the person you thought you were, but the person underneath all the fear and protection. If I could say one thing to the younger version of myself, it would be this. Trust someone and don't be afraid of yourself. You are not something to be feared. You are something to be loved. In the next episode, I'm going to step slightly away from chapter 1 of the Trails and Trials of Addiction and Anxiety and share something lighter from my first book, Tripping Over Myself. A moment that still says a lot about where my head was back then, even if I didn't know it at the time. Take care of yourself, and we'll talk soon.